Netflix just dropped its newest film, Rebel Ridge, and I have to say, this one caught me off guard, and that's coming from somebody who doesn't really watch Netflix movies. In this video, I'm going to analyze the movie and explain why it was an awesome surprise. If you are somebody who was looking forward to this movie, and it was on your radar of upcoming stuff that you wanted to see, drop a comment down below and like the video if you've seen it already. It helps support the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. So like I said, I am not somebody who has any interest usually when it comes to wanting to see any movie that Netflix puts out. That has nothing to do with having a grudge against them. I just don't personally find that a lot of the movies they make or distribute have stories that interest me as much. Every now and then, you'll get stuff like the Knives Out movies, the new All Quiet on the Western Front, Hitman, or David Fincher's The Killer as of recent, for examples. I tend to find that Netflix doesn't usually always put out the best stuff in the movie category, and they are much better off on the television side. In fairness, they also are really terrible at marketing their stuff, so I usually never even know when something comes out, but I digress. I'm happy to say that they've got another good movie here on their hands with Rebel Ridge. I saw the trailer for this movie, and immediately it piqued my interest. So what did I think about it? It's awesome. Seriously, this is an awesome movie. Now, it's not perfect, I want to get that out of the way, but just in general, I had a really good time with this. The best way to describe the movie is by comparing it to a couple of films. It has a bigger mix of the Jack Reacher style story, where you follow a person who tries to take down a corrupt justice system with corrupt cops and judges and so on. It has a little bit more of a smaller mix when comparing to a film like Rambo First Blood, where it's about a veteran who comes home from war and is treated as terribly as he is by the police of a town, to the point where he lashes out against them because he feels like he's being treated incorrectly. Ironically enough, our main character, Terry, played by Aaron Pierre, is a military service member, so there are some good connections into those films that I just mentioned. To get on the main point of the guy that we do follow, basically his story is that he comes into this town to help get his cousin out of prison, but when stopped by cops who illegally take his stuff, he's then set on a path that leads into taking down those corrupt cops and the system that is putting his cousin in the wrong places. I thought that Aaron Pierre was cool as hell as a protagonist, and he put in his all, acting-wise and in his action stunts. I've never seen him in anything else before, and so because this was my first time with his presence here, it made me enjoy the movie much more. The things that his character was able to do in this movie are absolutely insane, that it honestly inspired me to want to get my ass back in the gym and start lifting weights. And again, from an acting perspective, I thought he brought it to help communicate the story effectively and also make his character a lot more reasonable from the perspective of understanding what he's going through. You are literally rooting for him at every moment, and that's the kind of thing that you need in a main character. The rest of the cast are all decent as well. The character of Summer, played by AnnaSophia Robb, is a person who's trying to help Terry through the legal system of it all, but also has a much bigger role in the story as the movie keeps going through the second and third act. Again, I never seen this actress before in anything, and I thought that she did a good job. The corrupt cops I thought were arguably maybe the underrated standouts. They are written so well and acted so well that you hate them and the things that they are doing. Two of them in particular played by Don Johnson, and then the actor Emory Cohen. Don Johnson's a really good actor, so I know him from a couple of things, but this other guy took me by surprise in just how effective he was acting his role with how I hated him and his character. David Denman is another actor who makes an appearance who I've seen in a couple of things and has a nice role here as well. And then an actor like James Cromwell, who is very particular to me because I've actually only ever really noticed him in one movie because of how much I've seen it, with Will Smith's I, Robot. He plays the main scientist in that film, and I've watched it way too many times at this point to know that I've only known him for that movie, funny enough. The other thing that makes this movie so compelling and awesome is the writing, and in particular, the dialogue. The best way to describe the dialogue of this film is that it's one of those kinds of movies where it uses very particular language of certain kinds of professions that people have that make it as compelling as it is if you were somebody who doesn't understand that kind of stuff. There's a whole lot of police kind of talk, military speak, law vocabulary, and so on, that when you hear the actors speak it out in the more tension-filled scenes, it makes the experience so much better. I could tell instantly that there was an attention to detail here that the filmmakers really wanted to get down right. It also kind of just makes the rest of the story feel more real, which is the next thing that I want to talk about, because in the story's simplicity, you might think that there is a lot more to it. With the movies I've mentioned earlier as references, like Jack Reacher and Rambo First Blood, there is a lot of social commentary and allegories within them about real-world stuff. Here in Rebel Ridge, it felt like it very much was a commentary on how the justice system works and how it can be easily manipulated, whether it's through the court systems and judges, cops who illegally detain people, and basically any other possible corrupt nature of a justice system that you can think of. I'm not going to say that there was any racial theme to any of this stuff, but at times it definitely felt like there might have been, especially when you consider the fact that the film takes place in Alabama. Overall, I think that everything was still mixed together quite well, that you really never knew which direction it would take. That is almost most of the time the mark of a good script, which I think that this movie does have. To get back to the action, again, in general, it was pretty damn good. It is shot well and also choreographed by someone who you can tell understands how to shoot action in camera. I always harp on the fact that action does not work if it's not in camera. I could also tell that from a budgetary perspective, that the action was particularly done the way it was because they don't go overboard with certain things. A lot of it is very handheld and martial arts-like in combat, aside from a few times where it does go into action with guns. I really like that kind of stuff, and it shows in the effectiveness of how those scenes carry themselves. I did say the movie wasn't perfect, unfortunately. It's got some big pacing issues, particularly in the second act, that feels a lot longer than it should be. The movie is just a bit over 2 hours, and I thought maybe just a small bit of that probably could have been cut out. I thought that the ending was a little too abrupt for what I thought it'd be. I'm obviously not going to give anything away, but the very last shot didn't feel correct. I feel like most good to great endings have an emotional connection with something that happens in the movie, but that's not what we got here, and so it felt very out of place. But again, other than that, the rest of the movie is pretty stellar, and I've got no other complaints. I really would recommend everyone go and see this. It's that kind of small-scale movie that I like seeing every now and then, even though it feels like other movies that you've seen a million times before, and it still was executed pretty damn well. So there you have it, my film analysis of the new Netflix movie Rebel Ridge. Leave your comments down below if you've seen the movie already, and let me know what you thought about it. Thank you for stopping by my channel, Film Obsessed. If you want to see more moving forward from me on this channel with regards to film and television, and you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and also subscribe if you are new here, and turn on that notification bell. That's a wrap, folks. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you soon for the next video.